We are continuing to watch the protest march, the Black Lives Matter protest march down in McKinney, Texas tonight, where police are under fire tonight after video surfaced of one officer's response to an out-of-control party Friday night. In a tape that has now been seen by millions, a McKinney police officer can be seen drawing his weapon before tackling one 14-year-old girl and pinning her down. That officer is now suspended while an investigation unfolds. Mark Furman is a Fox News contributor and a former LAPD homicide detective. Richard Fowler is a nationally syndicated radio host. Mark, let me ask you, because you've defended a lot of cops on this show when videotapes come out that don't necessarily look that good for them. What do you say about this guy?
Well, what I don't like, Megan, is him drawing his weapon. Clearly, when you look at the background instead of the officer or the young girl on the ground, you see a middle-class community with manicured lawns and people that are dressed nicely and kids that are dressed nicely. So we're not talking about some, hotbed of crime activity there. And you kind of wonder when he drew that weapon, if those two young boys wouldn't have run, if they would have run towards the officer or he would have made contact, I think this would have turned out very ugly. So that's hard to defend. The other thing is what did he know when he got there? What did he know before he got there? And why did he ever run into this by himself before other units arrived?
What about the takedown of the 14-year-old girl, Mark? Because that's the most brutal part of this. And you see him, bending her limbs.
I'm trying to figure out why arrest anybody at that point. You have 130 people at the pool party. You have 7 agitators that jumped in. You're focusing on control, but arrest of one person ties your hands, and now you're completely useless to the rest of the crowd or the other officers. I don't even understand that. And he certainly did not have control of her. It looked kind of bad the way he was attempting to get her on the ground.
Mm-hmm. And you find, I'm sure he didn't know she was 14 at the time. Maybe he did. We can't assume it. But now we know. And she looked like a young woman. And it's brutal. Richard, it was the head of the NAACP came out and said he treated her like chattel. And now people have made this into a race thing. Are we there yet? What is the evidence it is a race thing as opposed to excessive force thing?
Race aside, Megan, I think to watch a woman being handled like that by a guy who's 2 times her size made me totally sick to my stomach, to be honest with you, just to watch it. Right, and for once, a little bit, I agree with Mark here. You're in a middle-class neighborhood. Whether it's a hotbed of crime or not, it shouldn't matter. The police should sort of
and it isn't,
operate
according
the same.
To the residents. It isn't.
Right, and I think this police officer is clearly, he pulled his gun out for no reason. Clearly, they were all unarmed. It was some kids acting up, and it just didn't really need this. Now, where the race comes in, I think the reason why we've gotten here is the recent Pew report found that 71% of white Caucasian residents in this country trust the police, while 31% of African Americans trust the police. So you put 14 and 15-year-olds who are used to seeing, police, brutalizing young African American men for whatever the reason might be. And so they say automatically, we see the police officer, and what we're going to try to do is get away from the situation, which is why you have running there, right? Because for far too long, they see the police as a threat. They think they're going to be the next Eric Garner or the next Michael Brown or the next Walter Scott. So they're like, well, we don't want to have anything to do with this. And you hear the girl in the video saying, call my mother, please, call my mother, because she understands what's getting ready, what could possibly happen to her.
The girl was no saint either. He had told her to leave, and she continued to linger. And when the cop
Megan,
tells you to leave, get out. I'm not defending his actions. Let me make that clear.
But if you look very clearly at the videos, there's also a white guy standing with some, with some jeans and a khaki shirt,
just standing there. And he didn't bother him. I got it. Let me get Mark to defend. Let me get Mark to weigh in on the point about how we've gone to the race place on this.
Well, first, the police were called by the residents. The residents that live there are white and black. So I think that's kind of a wash as far as the response of the police. The actions, once the police got there, we got 11 police officers that aren't being investigated. We have one that's being investigated, but he seemed like he was I don't know if he was focusing on just black kids, because the video is rather narrow in its scope. So I don't know that, and we don't know those facts yet. But I think it's kind of a leap to go to a racial profiling at a graduation beginning summer pool party.
We'll hear more. I mean, there's a guest on Hannity tonight, an African-American resident, who says this is not about race, and people are jumping to conclusions on this, and they shouldn't. So you can stay tuned for that. Guys, thank you both.